Example 3, finding average velocity. A rock is thrown upward with a speed of 96 feet per second. Its position is given by this function, p of t equals negative 16t squared plus 96t, and this is at time is equal to t. Part A, let's construct a graph of y equals p of t on the time interval from 0 to 6. And let's label at least 5 distinct points on the graph, including the points corresponding to 1 when the rock was originally tossed, 2 when the rock reaches its max height, and 3 when the rock hits the ground. So take a moment and start sketching out something on your own axis. Please pause your video and sketch something out on your own axis. Okay, so as you can see, I have labeled my horizontal axis as time in seconds. And it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. So every 2 boxes is 1 second. And then my vertical axis is labeled feet above the ground, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, then to 100, then to 150. So please do something similar on your own paper. And now let's go ahead and why don't we use a table of values to help us graph this. So t and p of t. And we want at least 5 points. So let's go ahead and use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5 points. I'm going to use a couple more, 5, 6. P of t is negative 16t squared plus 96t. The position of this rock at 0 seconds is just going to be 0. So take a moment and fill out the rest of this table on your own. So please pause your video and find the position, so that is how high above the ground this rock is in feet after 1 second, 2, 3, and all the way through 6 seconds. As you can see, I have filled my table out. So now I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use, not blue, let's use orange to sketch the graph of this position function after seconds. So at 0 seconds, we're on the ground. And the rock is tossed up. After 1 second, it's 80 feet off the ground. And now go right ahead and please plot the remaining dots from your table. So as you can see, I've plotted all 7 dots, so go ahead and connect these. As you can see, I have plotted all of 7 points and connected the dots. And so I'm going to label at least 5 of these points. And of course, we want to label 1 when the rock was originally tossed. So this is 1 here. I'll just write rock tossed. 2, when the rock reaches its maximum height, and that looks to be here. And 3, when the rock hits the ground, so that would be here. And let's label 2 other points. So I'm going to label this one here, and I'm going to say rock is still gaining some altitude, because if I notice, the rock here was at about 80 feet above the ground, and then in the next second, it's almost 130 feet off the ground, so it's clearly still going upward in the air. But then on the other side here, I know the rock is, say, losing height, because right here it's at about 130 feet above the air, and then at the very next second it's only 80 feet up in the air. So the rock at 4 seconds is losing height. All right, let's look at part B. And I think for part B, we'll be able to answer it already, since I kind of gave you a hint of what to answer here when I described these 2 points. So part B, describe the behavior of P of t on the interval from 0 to 3 seconds and on the interval from 3 to 6 seconds. And I'm not going to write anything down here, so it's up to you to write something relevant down in your notes in this section. So on this first interval from 0 seconds to 3, so that's this part of the graph, the rock is still going up in the air, so it's been tossed and it's still gaining height. Now from 3 to 6 seconds, which would be here, the rock is going downward, so it's falling back to earth at this point. It's no longer going up, it's falling back down. Now for part C, let's find the average velocity of this rock between 2 and 3 seconds, so between t equals 2 and t equals 3 seconds. Another way you might see something like this worded is the time interval beginning at 2 seconds and lasting for 1 second, because 2 plus 1 equals 3. So if it lasts for 1 second and starts at 2 seconds, it's a total of 3 seconds later. So let's go ahead and use our formula for the average velocity. And your table that you've already created should help answer these questions. So our average velocity between 2 and 3 seconds is 16, and our units are feet per second.